Okay, so I think the YouTube stream is live. So yeah, if I can, please allow me to welcome you here, everyone in attendance. Good afternoon, and everyone watching on the YouTube stream live. My name is Rado Angerek, and this is the first official Burst meetup in Europe, here in Bratislava, Slovakia, in Progress Bar. We are joined today by two very important members of the Burst community, specifically by the Burst application team member and developer Oliver Hager, who came from Brazil to Slovakia. And secondly, by, I have to read the name, Algirdas Veikelons, but much better known as Šefas, also much easier to pronounce, who came from Lithuania. Šefas is the member of the guys have prepared a half-an-hour presentation each, so they will speak about Burst and the POC technology. And after their presentation, the audience can ask any questions that they want. But everyone watching the YouTube live stream, please put any questions you want in the live chat, and we'll make sure that we will read them in the end. And Oager and Šefas will take as much time as they need to answer your questions. So with no more further ado, allow me to call Oliver on the stage, and he will tell you much more about Burst and the future. Hi, Oliver.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rado, for the opportunity to import me from over the sea. So, an interesting opportunity for me. I never expected that. So 3 weeks ago, he called me and said I'd come over, and I said, okay, yeah, I will do that. Yeah, today I will speak about Burst as a feature-rich cryptocurrency. First of all, of course, I need to introduce myself. I'm a software craftsman, so professionally developer at the Brazilian company called Extra. I am a developer at Burst, officially Burst apps team member since January this year. I'm living in Brazil, although I am German. Since 2008, I do capoeira since 2001, and I'm coding since '92. So yeah, this is me. And I'm known in the community, in the Burst community, as Ohager, a very creative name, obviously. Yeah. So community, talking about that. Burst community, Burst exists since August 2014. So it was developed by some unknown developer, and it was taken over by the community in January 2016. Later on, there was another handover to another developer team called the POC Consortium. This was in August 2017, and almost at the time when I entered. So, and since January we took over, and I mean me, a lot of other friends and members, community members took over, and we divided us in the part of the development team and in the market team and publicity team. So, and this was when I officially was called to work on a project. This is the marketing front, the BMF team. So I had the opportunity to meet almost everybody on this trip here. Shifers is here to me, so he will follow and talk about later. We have even a creative team, which is led by Skipper. This is the developer team. We have pretty talented guys there inside, mentioning Harry, Joss, Curbshift, Zaw. So we have Nick Zobbs, old serving community member, and of course we have Blanky and me finally. So how I got into Burst, it was like different times then. It was like the summer hit of June 2017 was Despacito, a little bit different. BTC price was about $2,500. Historically, you see there's something like exploding in the end of the chart. And at that time, BTC was gaining traction. And I asked myself, what would I do if I could go back in time? And it was like, yeah, I'm going back to 2010 and start mining Bitcoin. Yeah, but 2017 party was over already, so it was really too late on that. And this was the time when I heard about Burst. In a German IT forum, somebody was talking about hard drive mining. I said, what the fuck is that? Sorry for the that's fine. And I was immediately interested because there were some interesting features on that coin. And it was like, I tested out mining. So I had some, as we said, this hard drive mining means like it has not much, it does not need much of GPU power or like investment, initial investment. And I had some terabytes there full of downloaded music and all that, you know that. And I tested out mining. So the first thing I figured out is like, whoa, this is not very easy for somebody who's going into it. It could be a little more user-friendly. This was my first contribution, about 2018. This was just like a wrapper for the plotting process. I will talk about this a little bit later. And it was an easy tool, and I said, okay, it must be easier to do that. So I was on that. Some people used. I think almost I used it. Yeah. And I started working on other things. Most of the projects never made it in production ready, but it was like for me opportunity to know a little bit more about Burst. And finally, so my biggest achievement inside the community is, together with Blanky, we made the Phoenix project. We launched in May this year the first beta version of a new, more user-friendly, easy to install cross-platform wallet. And yeah, before I will talk about that a little bit, for the people who don't really know what Burstcoin is, I will give a brief overview on that. First of all, I think this is important to say, this is a truly centralized cryptocurrency. So we don't have ICO, we don't have any tokens in that. It's like a mainnet coin. Yeah, this is yeah, and we have community-driven ones. There are no companies involved. We don't have centralized mining capacities on that. So we are like trying to maintain that. We're maintaining this one, and it's truly decentralized. We have another kind of, call it consensus algorithm. It's like proof of capacity. It's done by hard drive mining. That means that in the first step, so all the hard work has to be done on the stuff we call plotting. That means you'll have calculations doing only once, and the results are stored or like cached inside on your hard disk. The more hard disk space you have, the more mining power you have. That means you can validate the transactions, maybe forge the blocks. And then the second step, this is the easy part, just like launching the miner, and during, in average about 4 minutes, the block time we have, you start to scan a part of the disk of the plots, and then you respond with a kind of a magic number. We call this deadlines, expressed in seconds, and the lower the value is, the higher the chances is that you forge or approve the block. So the fun thing is on that it's extremely energy efficient compared to proof of work. So what is mean in numbers is like we have here not really updated image. What's like shown that today the Bitcoin mining is done with ASIC mining. So this is specialized hardware. This is about 1,500, 400 watts, and compared to a disk, a hard drive is like 4 watt. The value here of the 195 kilowatt hours is outdated. I have to admit that I don't exactly know what is the consumption per transaction for Burst. I'm pretty curious about that, and I will start investigating a little bit to see what's the true value on that. But what is interesting compared, for example, this is data I found 2 days ago on Digiconomist. And they're saying, like, they're tracking the energy effort, the electricity energy consumption for Bitcoin, and there's this value per transaction. I think this is enormous. This is like they're saying like 21 households. No, average household over 21 days. This is like just one transaction, and yeah, we are as Burstcoin. I think in current times we have to see that energy efficiency is an issue. Thinking of Friday for futures, all the young generation is coming like being afraid about yeah, the climate change stuff, and this could be a contribution from side to, from Burst to help on that. Some features we have, like compared to famous Bitcoin, for example, or famous cryptocurrencies, that we have faster transactions. We have different kinds of transactions. We have, for example, multi-payments per transactions. That means I can, as one sender, send to up to 128 recipients in one transaction. This makes transaction much faster. We have even kind of generated transactions, periodically payment subscriptions. This means I can just give a subscription. I can say like, hey, every 1 month I want to pay something to somebody. And these are kind of computed ones, and this helps even to scale up a little bit in the transaction persistence. We have a lot of much more bunch of features. There's like marketplace for digital goods. This is a typical Brazilian market, Uruguayana in the real. But I mean for digital goods, of course. So we can sell, offer, buy goods, digital goods within the Burst blockchain. We have an alias system. That means we can substitute texts by others. We can put phone numbers into it. We can URLs. So this is even a useful feature. A much more important feature, for example, is the asset exchange. It's a pure decentralized P2P exchange inbuilt in Burst. You can even generate tokens on top of that. I think this is interesting for many people. We have one thing, I think personally, this is a highly underestimated feature, arbitrary messaging. That means I can put, up to a certain extent, customized information inside transactions. Even today, it's possible that with normal transaction, I can append some information. For some applications we are building, we're already using that. But this is a pretty powerful and versatile feature, I think so. And then the last but not least, smart contracts. I will show later that we have a really new feature, or like something very thrilling in that. It's like since a few weeks we have Java that compiles down to machine code, so we can write smart contracts in Java. This is a very important contribution by one of the BAT members. It's Joss, so he's even Brazilian. Hi. And yeah, I will talk about it later. So now there's the middle part a little bit. I will talk about the project Phoenix. So this is the Phoenix Dream Team. This is me and Blanky. I mean Dream Team not because Phoenix is so awesome. It's just a wallet. But the work with him was awesome. So I even met him last week in Brazil as a on a huge conference, and we talked a little bit more detail about how we developed that. I will give you a short overview of that, how we made that. Yeah, this is us on the DevCamp 2019 in Brazil. I was like, this is us. This was an awesome event. This is a part of the community stuff. So when we started with Phoenix, it was like, I sent the messages, I saw that he was interested in building a wallet, and I said, yeah, I want to. So I want to do that too. One of the project goals was, because we know that the current wallet, or the wallet for that time, that was more like kind of difficult to install. So it needs to be easy to use. We don't need to install such a lot of things on machines. That like download it, one click, install. It needs to be secure because we're talking about money. So, and it needs to be a cross-platform. Means we want to do this for web. We want to do this for the current OSs we have, like Apple Linux and Mac OS Linux and Windows, and for mobile. So the problem is we are not. We have full-time jobs. I have family, and it's just kind of difficult, and it's like. To work on that in their spare time. And we were really like having some crunch times, working nights and weekends over. And this was like kind of stressy, but I think it was worth it. And we started to think how we can speed up it a little bit. This was one of the problems we had. And we came up that we need to make it as reusable as possible. And we started with a small with the decision that we want to put everything that we want to reach in one repository. Let's mean like in a versioning system. We put this all together. We have here, for example, the wallet for the desktop, the web Angular wallet. We have the mobile part, we have even libs. And this will be packaged and delivered differently. So what this means, I will show a little bit how we split it up. So first of all, the wallet, the main part, the UI, we used Angular. Angular is bound to TypeScript. This is kind of a typed JavaScript layer. And we chose Angular because we are thinking of the community and saying like, if somebody wants to contribute on that, then it must be like standardized in an opinionated framework. And Angular is built for large scale apps. It's used professionally by huge companies. So, and furthermore, for dealing the desktop part, like, we want to install this on Windows. Oops, the microphone. We want to install this on Windows, we want to install this on Mac. We don't want to make it natively for each platform and all that. So we decided to put this into Electron. Electron is kind of a wrapper. This one's a kind of a web view inside and runs also a kind of Node.js engine. So, and it was really a good decision because we could serve all the platforms like web and desktop almost in the same way. For the mobile part, which is still under development, just a spoiler that we used React Native. This decision was done because we already used, we want to reuse code as part of the codes, and React Native is kind of JavaScript, so then we can use and serve this one for Apple, or for iOS and for Android. This is mainly the way how we architectured that. So there is something important in the lower part. This is the abstraction layer. We call this the burst reference software. This is like kind of abstraction layer for the blockchain at all. And so there is kind of an API we can communicate. And just to abstract that away and make it easier to reuse, so we have another abstraction layer which is burst publicly available library. This is part of the outcome of the Phoenix project, and it can be used in any other context where JavaScript is needed, like WordPress sites, for example. If you need some information from the blockchain, we can use this on Node.js, so it's the backend part. We can use this in modern web applications like React, Vue, or Angular applications, or even Svelte, or whatever there's coming. And and we have even a bundled one for classical stuff like Vanilla.js or HTML pages, even for PHP applications. So it's pretty versatile to use it over a large ecosystem in the web world. You can see that the right pillar here is the Angular app. This is serving on the web, really on a web server for all the modern browsers. And when you wrap this together with Electron, we can serve Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And for Android and iOS, we use React Native. And all of them use Burst.js. So Phoenix is powered by Burst.js. It's a publicly available library. We made a multi-package library using Learner. This is kind of a tool that we can split up parts of the underlying package library in packages, and Learner is kind of a management tool for that. Turned out to be very useful. So if you want to use parts of the library, you can just like make it like npm install or yarn yarn add Burst.js and the packages. Here are 3 of the packages that are available. You have even bundled packages, like to include this traditionally into your HTML stuff. There are some applications outside there that are already using that. We have pretty good feedback on that. And all this is documented. We use automatic documentation tools, TypeDoc for fully fledged documentation side, and inside the typical README files we use the JSDoc to Markdown generator. So this is what it looks more or less like. It's not very fancy, this because it's a technical document. This is the automatic generated documentation of that. Yeah, and all of this is managed, deployed, and integrated with the state-of-the-art tool chain. This is something that we use professionally for our customers when I work at Dexter and that. For example, we have a continuous integration tool called Travis. This one is like every time when we commit something or when we push something to our repository, so we have some steps, automatic building steps, which are running there. We have building the application, we have bundling the Burst.js library, we have even running tests. We have for the Burst.js library 93% coverage. of the unit testing. So for the developers amongst you, this is like kind of quality assurance. We have even nightly builds, so that we can check if really, this is like drafted, it's not a nightly release, but it's kind of drafted that we can check if everything works. Yeah, the way that we're drafting a release, for example, is pretty easy, with just one line of command. So for the coders, we know that Git is works like that. And then we can, this one line does almost everything for us. So it builds and tests the Angular app. It builds each of the desktop targets. I mean, targets is like for Mac, for Linux and all of that. They're created draft releases. So it will be in GitHub already available. Uploaded all the executable files we need. And afterwards, when we have that, we just need to make some regression testing on that, putting some additional information, and then it's like just hitting one button more, and then it's released. And even we have an automatic updating mechanism inside our desktop install wallet that informs the users that there is a new update coming, and it downloads that. So code quality is something like what I call king. So code quality is king. We have a lot of badges here already. Code quality 8, builds passing, vulnerability 0, and code coverage 93%. This is like we use tools like CodeCuff. 93% right now, I already mentioned that. We're checking really which parts of the code is really unit tested. We have Codacy. This is a tool that makes static code analysis. It checks out if we have code smells, if we have error-prone code, if there are even security issues within that. So it's an A-graded project. We have a good project certification on that. Another thing is we use it as usually in the NPM, in the node world, we have a lot of dependencies which we don't control. And this kind of tool here makes a dependency inspection and sees and checks out if there are vulnerabilities on that. In case we have that, we try to figure out how to fix that. As it is dependency, we usually use updated patches. We have even an automatic patching tool, Dependabot we use. I haven't listed it here. So that creates new pull requests on our GitHub repository, and we can check if the entire toolchain runs and if the new update doesn't break anything. So in the worst cases, we get in contact with the maintainer of the libraries of the dependencies to see how they try or how they intend to fix that. This is the wallet like it looks today. It's not super fancy, but pretty okay. It's responsive. There is some basic information on that. It's not complicated. It's easy to install, and we are continuously working on that. So, talking about that, we have more developer tools in there. This is the part was the Phoenix part. Phoenix is like a project we worked on. So I would like to introduce you some developer tools we have right now. First of all, I already mentioned that Burst.js library, which makes it much more easier to interact somehow with the blockchain. So you don't need to have deep understanding if you just want to have I want to know what kind of transactions that account has. I can do this easily with that. We have even from another Burst apps team member from Curveshifter as C++ library. It's a dynamic library called Burstlet. So for the more backend affinity coders is using that. We have the same, almost the same for Java, maintained by Harry, another Burst apps team member, the first Burst kit for J. And we have, even in the Java world, BlockTalk, which is our smart contracts framework. This is maintained by another one, Burst apps team member. This is even a Brazilian guy. Yeah, and this is how it looks like. I think this is pretty interesting, the smart contract stuff, because it makes it much more powerful. I have to tell about it that Burst is considered one of the first, or even the first, that introduced automated transaction using a Turing-complete programming language. Unfortunately, that language called Signum, nobody knows, and it's kind of an assembler language. It's like opcode. You see that kind of code on the right side here? This is kind of pretty tedious to work on, to make contracts with that. And yeah, recently we were able to writing a Java compiler to that machine code stuff. So on the left side you see an extract of a Java code written. In this case it's a crowdfund example, and we have even an emulator, and then it compiles to bytecode, and that bytecode can be directly published to the blockchain. We have a main chain, the production. We have even the testnet. We're working on the testnet, of course, with that stuff. But this is a pretty new and thrilling feature, and we already run some examples at the production of the mainnet. Schiffers will talk about this a little bit later. So we have a huge toolkit of things already. So the thing is like, just build it together and make something cool of it, like hot stuff. Let's build apps. We need apps, we need use cases, we need to do all that. This is what I am specifically focused on. I want to make applications for the Burst ecosystem because I'm convinced that Burst is kind of a really versatile blockchain technology, and it's not only just for sending money from one point to another, it's much more versatile on that. So we have a community, and this is pretty cool. So since I entered there, I met a lot of interesting people. I have the opportunity to stay here in front of you. I come from the other side of the planet, over here, and now from near state Sao Paulo, or in Sao Paulo, I come over to Bratislava. I never was before. I almost returned to my old country, almost, yeah. So, a very interesting, intense experience here, talk with a lot of people. This is part of the community stuff, where I made almost every of these Burst Marketing Fund members, just missing Ryan in that, but I will meet him. So, this is my dude, Blanky and me, last week at the DEF Camp in Brazil. So he went from California to Brazil, and we are pretty active, we are creative, and it's like working hard. We are only a few people right now, but we try. I think what we have done in the last 8 months was like amazing, and we're still on that, and there are so many ideas going on. We have so many projects, like we have even more community members that are contributing in their way. There's like, this is awesome. I feel very comfortable in that situation, and yeah. The question is, what's next? I cannot say this directly, what's all going on there. It's just a growing community, but for my, I know, the current thing is that I'm working on, almost finished the integration for so-called FCAS metrics for the coin market cap. This kind of rating our currency. I have new features coming up. There is kind of, I don't know, we disconsider a little bit the miners, so we will make a miner dashboard. We will make more things like in terms of usability. There will be kind of more of smart contract details because we were working more with smart contracts in the future. There will be like multi-payout will be much easier and some improvements overall. There's the Phoenix mobile wallet is being done. There's Titan issue from Russia, which is working together with Blanky on that. This is something we have to expect in the second half of this year. Sorry, Blanky, you know you're under pressure. And there's more stuff upcoming, but I cannot tell you exactly what's going on. There's a lot of things going on there. So finally, this is like, I think with all that what we have here, I expect that we are ready to build something great and making Burst great again. So yeah, this is the end of my presentation here. And I would like to hand over to Schiffers, which is a community activist.
Thank you. So it's very good, very nice.
Let me just change that one here.
Hello, I'm Schiffers. I'm very excited to go public. Sorry, my English is not very good, but that's life.
Good luck.
Thank you. So, I am Algirdas Vaickelionis, as a known chef. I'm community activist, but others take me like as a leader. I think in decentralized community, it is stupid to call self-leader because we have no we have no any structure or like system. All this, everyone who wants to contribute can contribute or to create or to other things. Sorry. So I am from BMV, this Burst Marketing Fund. It was created by Frank. It is 1 year ago. when he suggested in the community, I think in Reddit, so let's we create a mining pool where people can mine Burst and give block reward to marketing fund. It is now 50% goes to marketing pool and 50% goes to back to mine. I was very skeptical about this and don't believe it that it can work. But in my surprise, after 1 year, I can say that we are main now leaders. How to say? I'm using this word again, leader. But I think all societies need leaders and people who want to follow. we live in this world. Our main communication channels is Discord, and Telegram, and Reddit. So, but all action I can say is in Reddit, not Reddit, or in Discord. You can find all these communication channels in our main website, Burstcoin.org. Our pool idea went in a totally different way. We just planning that it will only be for miners, and we don't think that it will rise so big. But we started even to get donations from community, and we started Trello board, and now we can. Every member, every Burst member, every from community or even from everywhere can put like idea how he can promote Burst, or I don't know, to say maybe to create something, and he or she can ask for support. And we have now three or four fonts, and it is working now very, very good. All this bounties is paid by community. I mean by BMF. Everyone can join BMF Discord server, and we vote for every bounty, and we agree how much it's worth to pay for some video, for some other work. We have various bounties. Our next project is Burst Wiki. It is very good opportunity to all to contribute, to start contribution, because it is very easy driven. You can just push one edit button and go to GitHub and edit files and contribute to Burst. Our next main source of news is Burstcoin. You can follow Burstcoin where it is maybe 2 years we have this blog, and you can read all history about how it is went, how it was. It is also maintained by community, and all community member can say what he want to, what we write, or anybody can give some information what he wants to write in it. Please check it. It's very good done. So now cryptocurrency. I wanted to talk about decentralizations and why we are different, or what we are. We are decentralized, and like all decentralized cryptocurrencies consist of 3 pillars. It's like miners, node operators, and community. Of course, community, it is a bright word, not bright, but wide word. It can it can mean a lot of things. In this community thing, can go and developers and of course miners are community members and so on. But I want to say that miners, all these three parts is all very important to cryptocurrency and for Burst and for all this. So we now launched in BMF next mining pool where you can get full block rewards and support BMF by joining this pool. So please check this pool who wants to start mining. Node operators is very important because it is backbone of every cryptocurrency. So please run nodes, full nodes. Our Burst blockchain is very small. It's only 2.4 gigabytes. Is some kind of bits. Of course, it is for syncing. Maybe you will need 2 days, but you can run full node very easy. And now we BMF have even rewards for node runners. I mean, you just no need to mine to get burst. You can just run a node full, and you can get a reward. It was previous week we just there was 56 nodes which upgraded to our recent node. And to get each got 363 bursts. It is near 1 block reward because our now block reward is about 460. So you just don't need to mine. You can just run node and earn burst. Now we have hackathon. And even it has now 1 million prize pool of course not dollars but burst. It is about 10,000 or 8,000. I don't know. I don't follow prices now. And we are like I say, we have no company or some ICO or something. All this prize money is donated by community activists, by good people, by members who understand that we need development, that we need to move forward, and that only holding not help us, that we need to spend. So I will present our previous hackathon winners, because now this hackathon is still working. There is few days when can people apply. So I will present previous year's hackathon winner, Shifter. He created Cloud Burst. It is decentralized storage. You can, like Oliver said, in every transaction you can put information, and this information can be whatever. It is no restrictions in this information. So he created this tool where you can easily, you can see on top, you can enter node. This is entered local node, but you can and remotely node to enter. And you just select file. It is up to 1 megabyte, and you set the priorities, how much you want to pay, and you can put it in the blockchain and later retrieve it, and it will be in blockchain all the time. I mean, it's very cool. It is done by multi-out transactions to same. So if you put like 1 megabyte, it will create about 100 multi-out same transactions. In one this multi-out transaction is about 126 transactions different. So in one transaction you can put 126 transactions, but it costs like one. So you can
So by putting this 1 megabyte, you're creating about 10,000 different transactions. And of course, it depends on price what you set, because we have now slot-based system of fees. I mean, it is very cheap. Few first slots is very cheap, and later they progress very fast. So to put like 1 megabyte, you need to wait maybe 5 or 6 hours and pay maybe 50, 60 bursts, maybe 30 bursts. It is about a few cents, maybe 10 cents. So everyone who is watching now online can go to this address. I don't know people can see it or not, but I will later put in the chat this address, and you can to enter this address and get treasure. I hide treasure in Burst blockchain. It is a simple puzzle, but it was beaten only 2 times in Twitter. But if you just need to download Cloud Burst, enter this address, and you will get a puzzle. If you solve it, you will get a reward. Next curve shifter's creation is hot wallet cache. I just want to say that it is have more functionality than Phoenix, but it is not so beautiful. But it's cool. It have various functions. It has built-in burst coupons. It is like you can create a transaction and sign it and hash with some password, and you give it like string, or it is created like a link to somebody. He pushes this link, enters password, and transacts to network these transactions and get bursts. So let's move to my project. We have creator. It is Joss who created Block Talk. It is a Java compiler who compiles Java to CM byte coder. This CM byte coder have interesting very history. It was created for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin don't want to add more opcoders and don't want to be turning complete. They left only small scripting, but it was created for it, and was planned that other altcoins like forks of Bitcoins will adopt this CM, and if different blockchains have same opcodes, same scripting, it can be done atomic transactions. And in Burst it was proved by Burst and Quorum. And it was all time enough, but it was first atomic transaction done in the world. Okay, so let's talk about blockchain. Now, yes, it's to write. There is a lot of people which have various ideas, and they don't have maybe knowledge how to write a smart contract or contract on etc. So I build create or organize this platform where you can go, and I have in this platform this guy who created this compile and who knows smart contracts best in Burst, most deeply, and we are ready to help you create your game or your idea, or maybe switch your project to Burst. And I like to say that it is not Solidity, it is Java. Java, all people knows Java, and you no need to to learn new tools or something new. It was Colino. It was first working NFT in Burst. It was created maybe few months ago, and you like see we how to explain. It is a simple smart contract. We started it set price of 5,000, and when it gets transaction bigger, I mean, first who bought it paid 5,000, and this smart contract accepts only 10% more. So this person who bought for 5,000, it will get 5,500. So it means it will get 10% profits. And so sure you not understand me, but it was a big success. This price went up very fast. It went to maybe $4,000 or $5,000 price for virtual good that is on the smart contract. Of course, we created a nice story about Diamond, of course, and next our game which we created is Champions. It is have 5 weight categories, and it is like fighting. I mean, now you can see smart contract address. You see defending champion. Defending champion now is previous winner. So if you how to explain it? If you send now, like example, 1,000 bursts to this address, you will have 50% chance to win. If you win, you will become this defending champion, and okay. Sorry. It is not easy to explain, and I am very. You see me.
Nervous.
Yes, I will explain it in chat. Sorry, I'm nervous. So please ask questions. Sorry for my English. Maybe you wanted something to hear better, but that's I am.
Yeah, we have only 3 questions basically. So
Okay.
the first one is from the audience. It's about Dimexion.
Dimexion.
Basically, when do you guys plan to deliver the stuff? What's it gonna be? If it's still valid or not? Just information about Dimexion.
Okay, who don't know, Dimexion is it is old. We had old white paper where people described how we will create transactions, tangle way will connect all IOTA stuff and Zcash stuff and create this huge system. But we move it away, and now we thinking about it, but now burst in this stage that it's not very used. And why to increase this? We just don't need this technology. Why now our blockchain is used by 2-3%, and we can scale it even more and easier. So who cares if blockchain can do it if nobody uses it? So we want at first to attract with maybe smart contracts, maybe I don't know with what use. It must be used. When it will be used, then we need to scale in maybe on chain or maybe in second layer. When we will think about this, because now it is no point for Dimexion in the burst now.
I just want to add to this question that the current Burst app members, Burst app team members, they're looking at that. Some of them, It is really, if we prioritize the things for Burst, it is not like that we need to scale up at that moment. This is true. So, but it's like we have a look at that. It's not like we are working on that because it's not worth the effort. If we think of something like one aggregate value for Burst, then it's not about protocol scaling up. We have a pretty stable technology already, and we are more like focused on applications and use case. So this is the focus. Dimension is not, I won't say that this is the future thing. We need to understand it better because the former team made I think, incredible work on that. They thought a lot about that, and they handed it over to us. It's not easy, it's not trivial, and it's not on the roadmap for the near midterm stuff. So this is the answer I have to give for that. There are much other things, much more important we have to do.
Yeah, second question is basically follow up on what you just said. What are the biggest opportunities for Burst in terms of what do you think it's closest in being achieved and what can be like really massively successful? What's our strongest side?
Well, that means I have to spoil. I said that there are many people working on different projects with different expectations. I'm working on something that is like about storage. I will spoil a little bit. It's like IPFS connection integration. This is like there is, I think, the most potential we have right now about the smart contracts. This is something I personally was extremely happy. When I heard about Signum, whatever, I thought this is cool, yeah. But I haven't, to be honest, not the capacity to make a smart contract written in assembler-like language. And I don't have the capacity to write a Java to Signum compiler. And then there came that guy along, and he made it pretty fast, and it works, it fucking works, it's just like that. So smart contracts gives us a huge opportunity. So, and I bet on it. I personally will dive into it and working on that much more. This is a tool in our hands together with the rest of the blockchain stuff. I think that the arbitrary messaging is like a very versatile tool. This we are working on. There are kind of ideas about decentralized exchanges. There are kind of ideas working on. I don't even know what other people are doing. I just know, for example, that Frank, the BMF founder, this is like a creative machine, and he's generating ideas. We cannot implement that because we cannot implement. These are like just creating the ideas, and they're lying in the backlog, and we're storing them there and trying to think what we can do on that. And yeah, I don't know if Shivers has something to say about that. There's a lot of stuff going on, yes, but the most potential stuff is by far, I think, the smart contracts in Java. This is mine. You have something?
Yes, I agree totally, because it is newest, and I was surprised too how we just created this compiler. And I think we will succeed with this.
Cool. There are two more questions on YouTube. First one, when moon?
Yesterday. Don't know.
And second one, what is the current status for NFT on Burst? And can we have a stable coin peg something onto Burst? It's from the Skipper.
Stable coin. Well, maybe you can say something too.
NFT is
NFT, it is now you can create various what you want, but it is not problem to create smart contract. It's problem to create story, use case, why people will buy this NFT. Technology is here. You need to only organize, create, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And another question from Technocrat. What about the DEX, decentralized exchange?
Yes. Now, I have personal, for my project Blockplay and for smart contracts And for DEX, we need little less fees for smart contracts. Of course, it is my opinion, not because we have various other opinions that say that it is not good enough for hard fork, because we need hard fork to lower fees for smart contracts, because it is now with fees we now have, you can write a simple logic. If it will be very difficult logic, it will be costly to run. Of course, now burst price is very low, but if burst price rise, then
yeah, this is me. You're talking about a hard fork. There won't be a hard fork in the near future right now, because only lowering the fee is not a reason to hard fork. So we will work on that. It's like, no, I'm sorry for that, I have to say that. And it's like, we need to see when it makes sense to do that. And there will be, I think, more technical proposals. We have the CIPs running there. And if we bundle more features on that, then apparently, then it's time for thinking about that. It's right now we're in the situation you said that. We have the costs for the contracts, but the costs are not that high. It's much, for example, it's much cheaper than, for example, Ethereum stuff right now. But when Moon, then we have to think about that maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So no more questions on YouTube. So unless the audience has some questions.
Some questions from the audience. So yeah, then we will close this session. Thank you for your attention. I hope we could answer some stuff. Don't hesitate to ask us on Discord. You can go for Twitter to me. Also, I'm just making up Portuguese here. Sorry for that. And yeah, contact us. Look at. I think Burstcoin, my final words, is a very versatile, extreme feature-rich technology, and yeah, we should. Go on that. It is my focus. I said that is like usability, use cases, and think of that. I have some pretty much ideas there. I cannot reveal everything on that, and I don't have even the time to do all the things. But there's coming stuff for sure, and it will be for serious.
Okay, thank you.
So it was a disaster for me.